Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have a great guest. She's somebody I've met a few times at live conferences. I see her all the time on social media. I've seen her speak on social media. She is an amazing person. Her and her husband, the two of them, when they're out there, they're doing some great things for their clients, making sure they're having great customer client experiences and also set up for success as well. She's a very creative person. I've talked to her a few times, and always great ideas bouncing around. And she's very creative, very lively, which is like not surprising. She's an expert in branding, marketing, positioning, presentations, and of course that client experience as well. So please welcome Office Manager for CUTCO Southwest Florida, Ms. CARA GOMES.
Thank you, Fong. I appreciate being here.
Hey, thanks for being here. Always nice chatting with you, and I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us today. Now, before we get too deep into things, how did you get to where you are today? How did all this stuff happen? I know you're with Cutco and you're doing all these presentations. You did a lot of businesses stuff. How did you get there?
It was, definitely not like a step-by-step plan journey. It was more of like taking advantage of an opportunity scenario. Um, Ray Gomez, my husband, he has been affiliated with Cutco for almost 15 years now. He did briefly leave the company to test out like some corporate positions and opportunities there. But when we got married, we were kind of thinking about what we wanted to design our lifestyle to be like and look like. And so he told me a little bit about how, the lifestyle of being a representative with this company. And I said, okay, this is interesting. And we also heard about the opportunity to work with businesses for branding and client appreciation, strategic partner appreciation. And, I believe in the Cutco product, what it stands for, the value it brings to people. And I, thought, oh, working with businesses to give this as a gift to people, something that's useful, has a long lifespan in the client's possession. It's something that I can stand behind. So no, it wasn't something that I planned, but kind of like when I saw the opportunity, I said, let's, grow this, let's make this exciting. So, that's kind of how I got to where I am right now.
Was entrepreneurship, sales, this kind of thing something that you've always kind of think that you were going to be in?
Um, so I think that I didn't know that that was what it was like. It's funny that you say that because when I was, a young adult looking at my, options for careers and what I wanted to do, I was like, oh, there's no way I want to be in business. Those people are unethical and they'll do anything to make a dollar. I want to do so. I know, right? And I want to do something that stands for integrity and the truth, doing the right thing. And, I think that's a case of more like um, hearing only a one-sided story because I didn't know anybody directly in like my immediate family that was in sales or owned a business. And so I just didn't know any better. But looking back, I was involved in a few science fairs. Of course, when you're in school, you have to do a little project and present it. And so I really enjoyed the presentation part of it, the like this almost like the sales presentation, why you should pick me to go to the next round, what we found out. And so I guess retrospectively looking at it, if I had maybe had more interaction with salespeople or business owners, then maybe I would have realized kind of what it was all about, and that was actually something that was like it feels like a good fit for me.
Mhm.
So, I mean, part of it was maybe me, I think when we're younger too, we have so many choices, and so we kind of sometimes um get overwhelmed, and so we start like crossing things off the list just to make our lives simpler. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm not going to look into this because I've already got ABC that I'm looking at. Like, why do I don't need another thing to distract me or confuse me about what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, kind of thing. So,
So
but it all works out in the end.
right. So when you were contemplating between jumping into this world of entrepreneurship and business and sales, was there much conflict within yourself? Like to do it or to not do it, or you know what, I'm seeing all the upside with Ray here. This is the right way to go, and you kind of shoved that to the side and went forward with it.
No, there was definitely some conflict, especially because there was a big learning curve for me, especially because one of the roles that I had to take on was prospecting, and I had never done that before. I guess maybe the closest thing to prospecting I'd ever done was sell Girl Scout cookies. And people usually don't say no to Girl Scouts. Um, and so, we had made some big changes. We had decided that we were going to take this opportunity to work with businesses, and business gifting was in Florida, and we were living in Tennessee at the time. And so, and this was 2020, and really the like December 2019, beginning of 2020, we moved to Florida, and Ray had the opportunity, the position set up to be doing CUTCO events down here. So events meaning working at expos, home shows, trade shows, festivals, and events where people are shopping and having a booth there. And so um, then we also had some, ramp up time, some training with the business gifting program. And so, at the time, of course, we were not generating a lot of revenue because it was right at the beginning. So we were like, okay, we're budgeting savings here, leveraging credit cards, that kind of thing. And so at the beginning, of course, prospecting, it was difficult, and there was a lot of like, is this actually going to work out? Can this work out here? But that was more, I think, something that everybody goes through when they're making a shift, especially if you've never done, sales work before.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just sometimes kind of just get through it, just get over the hump. Um, one particular story that is always my favorite story to talk about in this instance is there was this manager at a real estate office, and so I was making a phone call to him to try to say, hey, we work with other offices that are, in your same brand. Like, there's like all kinds of Century 21 offices everywhere, and we're in the same brand. I said, hey, we bring a lot of value to them. Could we have 10 to 15 minutes at your next sales meeting to add value about how this gifting can get your agents more repeat business, introductions, referrals? And so he was a very like high D personality, didn't have a lot of patience, and I probably didn't sound very confident over the phone. And his words to me were something along the line of, these phone calls are annoying, you need to stop. And because I
So
guess
can I
I
call you
didn't.
tomorrow?
No, and then I like that kind of triggered in me. I was like, everybody hates this. Nobody likes this idea. Like, this is not gonna work, and we're betting on this working, and it's not gonna work, and these people are awful. And but it turns out that, I managed to get in touch with him. I think I actually went to his office and saw him in person. And he's just kind of one of those people that's a little like direct and rough. And he said, "Oh, I don't remember saying that to you." And I was like, "Ken, you made me cry that day." Do you realize that? And then his daughter was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe my dad said that to you." So now, we kind of like smile about it, but I guess that it's kind of like the Girl Scout cookies. Sometimes you gotta go in person and talk to people because people will say things to you online and over the phone that they never do in person. And phone calls are efficient, but sometimes people are nicer in person.
Mm. Wow, that's amazing. Now going through that process, I'm sure that you also told other people, "Hey, this is my path. This is what I'm going to do." And I'm sure a lot of people goes, "Nah, don't do that. It's too hard. It's not you. It's not who you are." How did you navigate through those people and kind of shut them up?
Um, so I guess first of all, I was selective about who I was talking to about what I was doing. So, people that I knew would be more supportive and positive, I told them more. And people who I wasn't sure, I just gave them kind of like a blanket update, so to speak. Yeah, we're working on this. It's going well. Even if it wasn't. But I mean, in some aspects, it was going well. So it's like it's okay. But um, I mean, there's a couple of people I would say that still maybe don't understand. I don't think they'll ever understand because that's just their personality. That's how they are, and they don't understand. There's been other things that we've talked about that they don't understand either. So, that's kind of I expected that from them. Um, Especially since, like I said, there wasn't anybody in my immediate circle who was in sales or owned a business. Um, so yeah, that I just, I think my mom was a little bit worried. But then, I always just shared like, hey, this went really, really well. This is what we did. This is what happened. These were the results. And then she was like, "Oh, wow, I'm happy for you." But then we also share like, "Hey, this didn't go well. May not try that again," but just being honest with her and lucky that there's sometimes like, she's come through, she's had some support from her in small ways, like bought her old car from her, which some people don't always have resources like that to leverage, but I think everybody has different resources they can take advantage of, and
Right.
there's nothing wrong with using resources that you have because other people may have other resources that you don't.
Okay. Well, the two of you went to Florida at a
Yeah.
time where you guys were banking that, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is gonna work, it's all or nothing kind of thing. And then the whole COVID situation happened. So the whole going out and prospecting, doing shows, doing expos, that's no longer available. So what did you do at that point in time to navigate success?
So we I would say we a couple of things that we did. Number one, the business world went virtual. So this company called Zoom that a lot of people had never heard of before suddenly became very popular overnight. And some people just said, "We're not gonna." It was crazy, but they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna have like meetings with our team for a while because we don't know what's going on," that kind of thing. But some people were like, "Yeah, we're still gonna like have meetings with our team because we all need to be on the same page."
Mhm.
And so it was easier to say, "Hey, we can meet you virtually via Zoom, and it'll be even more efficient because we just, jump in here and chat with everyone a little bit, and then we can always follow up outside of the meeting time hours. So I think everybody that was in this industry pivoted a little bit. Everybody created a PowerPoint that they could share on the screen via Zoom to illustrate instead of having physical product samples for people to look at. People put, testimonial videos in your PowerPoint, that kind of thing. We did the same thing with, we got more introductions, the connections that we had made. We reached out and said, do you know anybody that could appreciate this value of what you have here? And we met people on Zoom, and we did product demonstrations on Zoom. And also, at that time we did a little pivot. So Ray took a temporary position in managing an office. So there are a lot of people have heard of CUTCO, the company, because it is like the number one student work opportunity. So a lot of students who need flexibility in their schedules around their classes, they do a part-time job with the company, and they learn the basics of sales, how to make phone calls, how to get introductions, how to take a order for a product, that kind of thing. And so they were training these students here virtually in Fort Myers. They were, students living in the area, and there was a manager, and so they just conducted business virtually. And Ray was the sales coach for the office. So the students who needed coaching, more training about how to do better, he would coach them on Zoom or over the phone. And so that wasn't something we had intended to pick up and start doing, but it was something that we said, hey, it's in his wheelhouse. He had done that before in the past with the company. And so that, provided he got paid a percentage of the sales of the office for helping out and adding value in that way. So just, I guess, yeah, everybody was nervous at that time. Everyone was, but we all had to do it. We all had to be in it. And, we just found different ways, tried out different things, and I guess, made do until Florida actually started doing events and opening up again, for better or for worse, in like September, October 2020.
Yeah.
So we shut down right around March 2020. They did the stay-at-home orders, and then by September, October, there were events again. People were starting to come out and do events. Now, not here to talk about COVID and bring that up, but just to give everybody a time frame of reference of what we were doing and how long we were doing it.
Right. Now you see presentations all the time. You see live presentations. You now you watch a lot of online presentations. What would you say makes a great presentation, and the main differences between a live presentation and a Zoom conversation, and an online one?
Yeah. I think so. When you're introducing an idea to people, I love, of course, we both know each other through the JT Fox organization, and I've listened to JT Fox pitch, sell, close program a lot. And I think that's a great way to structure whatever idea you're trying to communicate to people, whether it's in person or virtually. Start with, at the beginning, why should people care about what you're going to say? What's in it for them? How does it relate to a problem that they have? In our case, it's that salespeople, whatever industry they're in, whether it's real estate salesperson or insurance salesperson, financial products salesperson, they have an interaction with their client, and then there's usually a large amount of time in between the next transaction. And so if people aren't hearing from you and thinking of you in a positive mind frame, so they only hear from you during a quarterly investment call or when your portfolio's down, they're just going to associate your phone call with bad news, or here's Fong trying to get me to sell my house again, instead of instead of having something that keeps you at the forefront of their mind. There's there and then so what problem is it? There's a lot of attrition in client attrition in these fields. And so why is it important? What can we do about it? Well, we can do something to stay top of mind in front of our clients. It's not a billboard outside their house. It's a little subtle reminder inside their house, and then how it works. So why it's a problem, what it is, and then how the solution looks moving forward. So that's really painting the picture for painting the picture for people of step by step how it looks to work together, or how it looks to buy the service or the product. So in our case, we put your information on this CUTCO cutlery that clients use every day almost, or at minimum 50 times a year. And then it's something that has a lot of brand power to it, the brand connotations of the company, how we support clients with the forever guarantee. And so it creates a branding image that you're associating yourself with, this kind of product, and this is what you give to people to build relationships. And so presentations that follow that why, what, how, regardless of whether they're online or in person, the key is just to stay focused on one problem, why it's important, and then get people to the how, what's the next step? Okay, yes, I'm in. What's the next step? And that's what's most effective. Now, of course, in person, you can do things a little bit differently than online. Like online, you probably want to have a link, or a phone number that people can text in to opt in and get more information. In person, maybe you do more like, hey, let me get your name down. I'm collecting a bunch of information from people who want this service, and we're all going to get them together at the same time, so it's convenient for everyone in one place. Look at all these people, bandwagon psychology, all these people want to do it, why don't I put you on there too? Okay, social proof, great. So of course, but still, you just opt people in, get people to say yes to take the next step.
Mm-hmm. Now, with CUTCO and the products, what are some of the most misunderstood comments that you've ever heard that you could debunk right now?
I love Costco. Can I get a Costco membership? People think, do you guys have Costco in Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people always think that we're talking about Costco or Petco, the pet store. No, that one always just kind of like gets me a little bit. I don't know how I can enunciate even more, but no, I think the number one thing that people that's a value proposition is that it's a high quality product that is guaranteed forever, meaning this company has been around for 73 years now. It's not going anywhere. And whether it's a defect in workmanship, or it's a issue like you were cutting and you dropped the knife on the floor and you broke the tip off, or sometimes there's people who take the knife out to the workshop and use it on something that is not food. And so as long as you're not a frequent flyer in the um, forever guarantee repair replacement program, there's people that have had these knives for 40, 50 years. We come across them at events and they say, hey, I forgot that I could get this sharpened. I forgot that I could get a replacement. Wow. And so then we take care of them. We get it sharpened, either ourselves or by sending it back to the factory for factory resharpen or replacement. And then people are so excited when they get it back. Like it's not fake news. The company actually replaces these things and sharpens them without any receipts or limited fine print warranties that are so difficult to enforce or cash in on. The customer service at um the main factory support center is fantastic. They have they're open till like midnight. Yeah. And so they take care of people. And some people say like, oh, German steel is the best steel or Japanese steel is the best steel. But if that's what you care about, then go buy, some knife that is a specialty knife that's made in Japan. But if you're a person who's a regular everyday person who wants something that they can rely on to cook with for themselves and their family, and if there's a problem that we take care of you, even if we were not here on this planet tomorrow, the customers can call CUTCO directly and they can still get their product taken care of.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that when you pay attention and you actually think about that, it's like, yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive up front than what you're used to paying at Walmart for a knife set. But I've personally melted things by accident by leaving them on the heating element when I forgot that the heating element was still hot. And they're like, yep, replacing it, send it back, get a new one. So it's paid for itself. And it was my fault. So I think that's the number one thing that I wish people would think about a little bit more, is just how valuable that could be for yourself over the lifetime of owning this. And you can give it to your kids or somebody else in your family. Like the forever guarantee is on the product, not the person who bought it.
Mhm. Well, who knew that buying a knife can have so many dimensions to it?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna ask, like, what does buying a knife have to do with relationships and long-term success and all that? But you've alluded to a lot of that stuff throughout a few of these questions already. So it's kind of fascinating that something so simple can mean so much and last for so long for other people and in their minds.
Yeah, it's not about the knife. It's not about, do your clients cook a lot or do you cook a lot? Because everybody uses a knife. We don't tear apart food with our mouths and our hands. We're out of the caves. So even if you really don't cook a lot, you're still going to use it. Even if you use it as an Amazon box opener, you're still probably going to be using it at least once a week, 50 times a year.
Mhm. Right. I know you also have a performance background. You dance.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there parts of that mindset where you go out and compete and you go out and perform and you do art and this kind of stuff and something that's artistic that you're able to translate over to the success of being a sales rep or a business entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think putting on a great presentation um, is definitely um, something that can be translated, because when you're doing a performance, you have to think about all of the elements of what you're doing, where you're standing, where you're facing, what you're doing at different times. And the same thing goes for doing a sales presentation, and not just the presentation too, but like going through the close of the sale and getting people to opt in and say, yes, I want what's next. And so, you know, like for us, when we do presentations in groups, our next step is that we have people scan a QR code with their phones and fill out a few questions to opt in. And so, you know, I have to pay attention to Ray and what he's saying, and so that I don't interrupt him during the presentation with the little, because it's like a laminated piece of paper that we pass out to people in the room. And so I don't want to be interrupting him and going around at the wrong time and breaking the focus of the group. I have to watch him closely and see when it's time, and I have to be, you know, have all those things ready so that we can get people onto the next step.
Cool. Now, when it comes to working with Ray, there's a lot of spouses out there that goes, I can't imagine working with my spouse. How do you balance that and still have a happy working relationship and a happy home experience?
So I think that there a couple of keys to it are number one, kind of both people having their own lane and respecting each other's lanes or roles. So like we were talking about a little bit earlier, like I don't do the presentations for, like, I don't do the speaking. That's his lane. Now, if there was an emergency, could I do it? Yes, but I'm not him, and I'm not going to deliver it the way that he does because I'm not him. Um, and then I would say having having a lot of patience and self awareness, self restraint almost. Like, do you want to start a fight about this particular small thing? In the big picture of your lives and your relationship, how important is it to be right or to get your way about this one small thing? Is it worth it? Or sometimes you have to just say, like, I don't agree with this, but this is your lane. I'm gonna, you know, go along with this because this is important to you. I think it's the same whether you work together or you're just, you know, in a relationship with someone. Sometimes compromise isn't like a 50-50 split down the middle, half of the thing for you, half for me. Sometimes like one person gets their way 100%, and then the next time the other person maybe gets their way on an issue that's important to them.
Right.
So, and then I think just making sure too that you make time to spend time together intentionally, not working. You know, feeding your relationship by doing a date night or you know, some activity together, like scheduling family time together. But I don't know, I don't think it's for everyone. And I think that you have to have an honest conversation with yourself about whether or not you're willing to have your lane and stay in your lane. Because there's certain people who um, don't have the situational awareness, or the people are too similar. Like they both want to be the speaker or the leader, and that's distracting.
Mm-hmm.
That's not you know, not to say that like I couldn't do some speaking about a topic that's more my strength or my lane. Yeah, of course, but like I don't fight with Ray about, hey, I want to do the presentation this time. You know, that's not how it's set up. It's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Have you
yeah,
ever
there's
body Have you ever caught each other talking about shop when you're not supposed to?
Yeah, all the time. I'd say that's because we both are passionate about what we do and our goals, and like um we had a meeting this week that was at um the meeting was at 6:30 p.m. It got done sometime at about, and this was not a business presentation. This was a Zoom meeting with strategic partners about a project. And so we were it was like over at 7:30 or 8, and then we're like, oh man, now we have to like email action items, and here's an idea about this. And I was looking at the clock and I was like, dang, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then, you know, so sometimes, yeah, sometimes we are talking shop a lot, but I think people go through seasons in their lives too. Like, we don't have children right now, and I know other people who have children, they have, that is something in their lives that they have to um time manage and energy manage on. um you know so I think that if you know like if we had children, or when we have children, whatever, we'll have to make some boundaries too about, hey, we if we're going to be here, we're going to be present doing this. But right now, our goals are, we want to hit our goals, and we're both on the same page about that. That's
Yep.
the thing, is like, if you and your partner are not on the same page about what you're trying to do, then of course, yeah, somebody's going to get upset about talking shop at 9 o'clock at night,
Right.
when they just want to relax. But I knew Ray was like this when I met him, and on nobody's perfect, and I would rather him be unbalanced on the side of working too much than too little.
Right.
Because especially right now when we don't have children, like, it was an important value to me to be in a partnership with somebody who is motivated in that area. So I knew that it was a risk of being working so much, working too much. But two, we do, like, we'll we may work on weekends, but we'll take a Tuesday or Wednesday off,
Mhm.
something like that, because
I,
that's
I can only
what we
imagine that every time you walk into a restaurant and have a meal, that CUTCO comes into your mind.
do.
This isn't working.
Yeah, yeah, no, we do have, like, oh man. We've been to some restaurants where it's like, gee, the knives are very lacking despite the quality and caliber of the restaurant.
Mhm.
But I people are like, oh, do you sell a lot of Cutco to restaurants? Man, I bet that would be a good gig. And I'm like, no, because people would steal them right away. People waited. This is not a place for Cutco. People would be like, these are great. I'm taking this home. So also, restaurants have different, like, um the knives have to be able to go through the industrial dishwasher and do that every single day, multiple times a day. And Cutco is engineered for homes, dishwashers, and families doing that. Not And then two, I'm pretty sure that restaurants have to um get rid of their cutlery stuff after so long.
Oh,
Especially like the knives with the plastic handles and things, they have to, like,
mhm.
pitch those all and then get new ones. So it just doesn't make business sense to be putting it in the restaurant. But yeah, sometimes we're a little sad, like, oh, this steak would be so much better cut with the Cutco knife. Or um but
It's
you
like I
know.
brought my own knife. No, don't worry about
Um, I'm not going to say that we've done that because that, that in today's society may not be the safest thing to do, but maybe you just want to do takeout and take it home and then cut it.
Uh, I got a couple of last formal questions for you. Lots of people out there would love to jump into something like this, but they go, I can't do presentations, I can't speak in front of people. What would your advice be for people who are afraid to stand in front of people and talk?
I would say, how much do you really want to do this idea? If it's something that you really want to do, then you're going to have to do it and you're going to have to find a way to cope with it. I would say it gets easier with practice, like many things. If I have to speak in front of a large group, yes, I still get a little sweaty and, heart racing, but um are you more in love with the idea of it, or are you ready for the commitment that it's going to take to be doing it? Because you can't you can't not speak in front of people and do this.
Mhm. How do you
You
psych yourself up? How do you get yourself prepared or get yourself over that hump of the fear?
well, I think because I believe in what I'm doing, I know this product, and giving this as a strategic gift in business can get results for people. I've seen it. I've seen testimonials. I've gotten testimonials from people. I've done it myself, and so I believe 100% in the value that it can bring. And so if somebody doesn't agree with me, at first it used to hurt my feelings a little bit, but now I've seen so many more people who are so happy with it and positive about it that I know that the people who are negative about it are, it's unfortunate that they're not willing to take the time to be open to it, to learn more about it. But that's on them. That's their loss.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm just excited to talk about it and um, share how it can bring value to people. And so that gets me excited. I think that's one of the reasons, why this is a good fit for me as far as a career and something to be doing. Sales is because if I can find something that I believe in, then it's no problem to me to talk to people about it. I mean, I've developed that, like we talked about, developed a little bit more thicker skin about it. But I think that everybody does that when they get into sales.
Mhm. Now let's put you on that world stage and you get to share one last message for everybody to remember you for. What would that be?
I would say that when you're doing business and you're working on something, you should be open minded to different ideas. So, if you would talk to me 5 years ago about, would you be, pitching branded knife gifts to people? Like, why? And I would say, if I wasn't open minded about why a knife is a good tool. It's not about knives. It's not about cooking. It's not about loving cooking. It's about facts that people use knives very frequently in their home. And the fact that this is a very well made one that stays around in people's homes for decades. And the fact, too, that, every single time they look at that little knife that says, with gratitude, Jane Jones, Coldwell Banker, that that's a time that you're thinking about Jane that you normally would not have. A lot of people don't know how to give introductions for people that are important to them, friends who are in business or sales. They don't know how to do that, and so doing something like this is a tool. It's not a gift, it's a tool. Yes, it is a little bit of a gift, but it's a tool. And so, I think being open-minded to different things, nobody would have ever thought of that as a tool. Just like, um, people may not have thought, hey, a car that runs on electricity is a great idea. But here we are, and we're overcoming the challenges of electric vehicles being in society and mainstream. So I'm not saying that CUTCO is going to be the next mainstream big thing like that, but there's no signs of it slowing down.
Mhm. Nice. Good words to remember for. Now, five quick questions before we end it off. Give me the first
Okay.
thing that comes to mind. All right. Strand on the deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Stranded on a deserted island and a food that I would have to eat while I'm there.
Yeah, no
Um,
consequence. So you won't ever
no,
get fat. You won't get unhealthy. You could just eat it all the time and stay alive.
if mangoes could provide all of the complete nutrition that I would need on that desert island, I think I could probably eat a lot of them.
Awesome. If you were given the opportunity to travel back in time to any part of your life, or maybe before any time period, what would that be?
Ooh. Um, I'd say maybe, the time frame when we start thinking about ourselves, I guess, as like not just like, hey, it's playtime, but like start thinking about ourselves as people who are gonna grow up and kind of like having situational awareness about our lives and our place in the world or our hopes and aspirations. And probably go back there and tell myself not to worry so much about how things are going to work out and try more things. Not because I was afraid, but because I feel like I put pressure on myself to be focused on things that I kind of crossed out some ideas. I was a little bit like closed minded to things because I wanted to succeed so much. But if I had been a little bit more open to trying things, and then I could have, you know, learn more life wisdom without having so much pressure.
Mhm. Cool. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, we want to do a biopic on you. You get to choose who plays you."
Who plays me? Oh boy. I don't know. Maybe so I don't know a lot of movie stars by name. And I don't know, maybe the person that kind of looks like me that might be able to pass Anna Taylor Joy from um, Queen's Gambit.
Oh, her. Okay,
I think
cool.
she's pretty cool.
She shows up at your door and goes, "Hey, I got casted to play this biopic. Let's get to know each other. Let's hang out." And she's like, "Oh man, I'm hungry." And you go, "No problem. Let me go to the back. I'll cook you something nice. What's that special dish you can prepare?"
Um, I hope she likes Southeast Asian food because that's probably what I've got in the things in the pantry to be making some stir fried or um curry.
Give me a number from 1 to 4.
4.
One, two, three, 4. So if you had to relate success to a whale, how is success like a whale?
Oh, you got to eat the whale one bite at a time. Just like the like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? How do
Uh,
you be successful is one small step at a time, small victories.
yeah, awesome. That's how success is like. Well, thank you very much for all that. I enjoyed talking to you. I had a lot of great insights, and also I learned a lot about you as well. Is there anything else that you want to share? And also, how do people get in touch with you?
Um, no, I think yeah, it was a great conversation about branded knife gifts and why that's not as weird as it sounds.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, if anybody wants to get in contact with us, they can reach out through. We have a website. It's Ray's name, so it's RAYGOM as in Mary, ES as in Sam.com. So raygomez.com. There's you can get in contact with us through there. You can see a little bit more about what we do, some testimonials from people that we've helped, or you can connect with me on social media. CARA Gomez, GOM is in Mary, ES is in Sam, and you can find me on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. For everybody else, make sure you connect with Kara. Lots of great stuff on her social media. And if you ever want to find a new knife, I'm sure she'll be able to help you out with that. So connect with her and find out more about that. Until next time, she is Kara. My name is Fong Chua. Today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.